and got halfway down the road and dropped it off the back of the truck.
Oh,
And then they just scrapped the entire project.
what?
Yep.
They
The
killed the project
whole,
after that.
yep. After that, they were just like, well, we don't need it anymore.
Wow. Is there some wild stories that you have about manufacturing?
I have a ton of them. Depends on exactly what avenue you're looking to go down.
Most people think manufacturing's dirty, boring, or dying. They're dead wrong. This is Manufacturing Runs the World. We're here to fix the misconceptions, teaching the next generation how modern manufacturing really works and why it matters more than ever.
Cool. Well, thanks for jumping on, Jeremy.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I was browsing on your website, I was going on your LinkedIn profile, but why don't you just tell me a little bit about yourself and a little bit about ETM?
Since a young age for me, I've always been interested in mechanical things, playing with Technic Legos for a long time. And every time we had a science fair, I just try to make something for the science fair. I like to make things. Grew up in Arkansas in a town of 300 people, and there wasn't much there for advancement. I ended up moving to Massachusetts when I was 13 and went to a technical high school where I got into computer-aided design. Everything went off from there. I got my first actual manufacturing job when I was 19, putting in
Wow.
hardware in a sheet metal shop. But I did get a co-op job right before that, designing sheet metal computer monitors for touchscreen computers. But I didn't know how to make anything. So when I got my first hands-on job, then it went crazy and I learned that I can make almost anything. So I did. I learned every single part of the sheet metal shop, and now it's been close to 30 years that I've been doing sheet metal.
Cool. Very cool. Side of it. So were you designing it and then doing the machine?
Originally, I was on the CAD side of it, and I was really good at drawing stuff and using the AutoCAD programs back in 1998.
Yeah.
Never really understood like the consequences of my designs until I started making things, and I really got a handle on it. And I basically did that for 24 years before I was finally able to become an engineer that I never went to college for. I just kind of got grandfathered in because I've done every single operation in the shop.
Right.
For the longest time, I've worked on and off in different shops, really good at making parts, but didn't have really good management.
Hmm.
And 5 years ago, I was on the move again, looking for a good place that needed a good worker, pay me what I needed, and wouldn't push me around too much. Because a lot of places I worked at were just nonstop, crack the whip, get it done, and that's it. That's all there is.
Yeah.
I applied for this place and I actually knew a couple people that worked here and got in right away, and they loved what I do, and I've been there ever since. And I don't think I'm going anywhere else now.
Nice. Nice. You're a
I
lifer
feel,
there
feel-
then, huh?
yeah, I feel like I'm lucky. The place that manages like the things that they do here the way they do.
Yeah, I think culture is a big shift, especially now. I feel like there's a weird thing in manufacturing right now where you have the old guard. A lot of the people are used to the old machining processes, and then you have kind of new technology and new automation coming up with a lot of the young kids. So it is a weird time for manufacturing for sure. A very cool time as well.
Yeah, I agree. Fortunately, I was taught by the old guys who will yell at you if you do anything wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm still young enough to get that kind of information across to the younger people who were needed to be influenced at the time.
Right.
So now I'm in this situation where all older generation is either dead or retired, and I'm only like I feel like I'm the only one left to pass on the generational knowledge.
Is there some wild stories that you have about either the engineering process or a product that you guys have put out, a wild and crazy story about manufacturing?
I have a ton of them, but it depends on exactly what avenue you're looking to go down. Well, I would say the craziest thing for me on the engineering side now, and after making the parts, when I was in, granted it was high school, you kind of learned a little bit about the etiquette of designing things, and that you did have to know a little bit about manufacturing to know what you're designing. Even when I started making things, all the prints were designed in a way that anybody manufacturing or do a certain process had the information that they needed to do the part. Now, on the other side of it, it feels like the whole paradigm has switched. And now as the engineer, I have to go back to the other engineers that they want us, the customers want us to make the parts, and tell them that we can't make the parts the way they designed them because they have no intuition about the machines that go into making them, the die sets that go into bending things, and like nobody knows how to actually make anything anymore from the engineering perspective.
Right.
They know how to make pretty pictures, and then it comes to making it, and we say, oh, that's going to cost you $10,000 when you wanted to product $50.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that's crazy. 2 years ago, we had this giant, basically a robot chassis that was going to be for a large distribution company. I wanted a big chassis for this project, and it took us a long time. And on our limited space, we still welded this giant frame. We got it together. Big manufacturing company came to pick it up with their own truck and got halfway down the road and dropped it off the back of the truck. And then they just scrapped the entire project.
What?
Yeah.
They killed the project after that.
Yeah, after that, they were just like, well, we don't need it anymore.
Wow.
Been multiple companies where I put in personally the work, assemblies, like electrical cabinet assemblies, something like that. Taking me like 2 or 3 weeks to go through piece by piece and get it all laid out for manufacture. 100 of these things made on the shop, ready to go, almost ready to ship. And then the company goes bankrupt.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, that's happened 3 times in my 5 years that I've been here.
So then if you're manufacturing those parts, you're on the hook for all that?
Yeah, for the most part. I don't know the legal side of it, but the owners have their ways of figuring out what they're going to do. As of right now, we have half the shop filled up with a bunch of parts that nobody will take. So,
Oh, that just made my stomach hurt.
yeah, it's pretty bad, especially all the work that we put into them already, and then we kind of have to walk around them.
I mean, is there an industry? Obviously, you guys are making robotic parts for large distribution companies, but is there other industries that you guys kind of focus in?
Our business model is we try not to have any more than, I think it's like 15% of our income from any certain customer section of industry. That way we're not on the hook. All of our revenues come from one place and then all of a sudden they go bankrupt or change, go to another vendor or anything like that, which I think is very smart.
Yeah.
We do a little bit of everything, robot chassis, mainly deal with local distributors and vendors. So we try not to branch out too much. It just makes for better shipping and cost and inspection and communication back and forth to the customer. A lot of our customers live probably within 20 miles of our location.
Oh, okay.
So if we have a problem or they have a problem, we don't have to go through an email chain or fly to California. We just drive down the street, talk to them, or they drive down the street and talk to us.
Yeah.
So it's hands-on problem solving. And most of our business is prototype work, not a lot of production work. So it really helps to have the communication right down the street.
Yeah. About how big is ETM?
The size of the building, we get about 25,000 square feet, maybe. It's an old office building. We did rebuild half of it, spaces for other vendors or other businesses.
Oh.
So we have a brewery that's set up on the back side, built everything up. And then another guy in the middle sells windows for skyscrapers. So it's basically a giant storefront in the front and then a warehouse in the back. Now, I'd say we have 15 people.
Oh, nice. So you guys are fairly lean then.
Yeah.
Can you give me an idea of what kind of machinery is on your shop floor? Is it like press brakes, some CNC machines? And
so we're split up into like 2 sections. We got a CNC machine area that's fairly new, really got set up around the time that I started here 5 years ago. Now we have 4-axis Haas machines over there. Then the sheet metal side takes up most of the space. So we have 10-year-old Amada CO2 laser, and we also have punch press, fairly new for punch presses, if you've ever been around punch presses. And we have 4 Amada brake presses. We have a couple hardware machines, a couple welding stations, and a grinding room. And we're starting to build up our capabilities a little more.
yeah, basically anything you need to make any kind of part, really.
Yep. And my favorite is if we don't have what we need, then we make what we need. So there was another shop that I had worked in before. We made a lot of parts for Raytheon. The guy who came to pick up the parts would tell us a little story that once they got the parts, they would ship them up all the way up to the top of Maine somewhere that nobody really knew about. And you had to put the packages outside on the ground, and other delivery guys would be coming, dropping them off and several times. But nobody would ever be there to pick them up, and none of the packages were labeled or anything. So they all just showed up at different times from different people, and you didn't get to talk to anybody because it's secret, As long as they pay for the parts, then we're good, you know.
Yep. Software stack are you guys running then? I mean, are you designing stuff?
Mostly SolidWorks, and we use Striker for programming, laser and punch. And I believe they have Mastercam for the CNC side.
Cool. How do you stay up on the technology? Obviously, in the past 23, 24 years, I think SolidWorks might not even have existed at the beginning of that tenure. So, like, how do you stay up and current on stuff? Do you have a resource that you go to?
We pretty much just use SolidWorks now because it seems to be the best thing. I've messed around on Shape a few times, and it doesn't feel as intuitive. I'm an artist as well on this outside of work, so
Oh, cool.
when things are intuitive, then they work out way better. So I personally like to find the art form and everything, especially in manufacturing, and the individual processes of manufacturing. So if something doesn't feel quite right or isn't easy to do, then I try to find a better way to do it or easier way to do it.
What kind of art do you do on the side?
I used to paint and draw a lot. Did that since I was in kindergarten, and that's probably what got me into the computer-aided design part when I went to high school. I've taught myself how to play 12 instruments. I did tattoos for about a year, way through making my own mandolin out of wood, and I just recently started blowing glass 3 years ago.
So you're just like any and all of the art forms, just give them all to me.
Yeah, I'm a maker, so yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Starting to get out a new social media campaign, or at least look into it as part of quarterly management meetings. We get all the managers together, see where we will go next and put resources to. And the newest one was a social media campaign of some kind. And we started with LinkedIn right now. But my hope is to actually get hands-on YouTube training for like setting up and running brake presses, or the etiquette of keeping a clean shop and keeping your paperwork together, stuff like that everybody out the street just doesn't get if they come into a manufacturing business.
Speaking of lean manufacturing and delving into Industry 4.0 and automation and stuff, are you seeing a lot of that?
We're constantly working on it, but we're also dealing with legacy equipment for the most part, and a lot of newer employees that have never been in manufacturing before. So we're constantly trying to find ways to convey that to people who don't know how to do anything while keeping everything running.
Right.
So it's definitely a struggle, especially if you don't have the resources or the money or the time to actually do that. Probably more managers than we have workers, even though the managers will go out and do work as well.
Right.
But I think we're trying to do like a cultural shift where if you see the manager out there and what they're doing and how they're organizing themselves, then that may catch on to the rest of the floor. And we always try to have team meetings. Once every Tuesday, we have a shop meeting. We talk about different stuff.
Yeah.
It's getting there.
I think you're the guy, Jeremy, in between the new group, new engineers coming up, and the old group. Do you know the origin story of ETM?
Know that Doug used to work for Pratt & Whitney, pretty high up guy. He used to fly all over to go to meetings. They have 3 boys, and when their first boy was born, they realized that they didn't have a lot of time to be there for their children, and it would have detrimental effects on his behavior and everything. So they decided to get out of that business and decided to go try to find a failing sheet metal shop, and they did. So ETM has been around for about 35 years, maybe a little longer. They've owned it for 7 now.
So they looked for a failing sheet metal shop because that would give them more time.
Well, kind of. Part of their ideology is also try to help out the community.
Well, Jeremy, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. I'll shoot you a follow-up and we'll be in touch.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Jeremy.
Have a good day.